and welcome to this Facebook Live on Back to School for Collins for Parents. My name is Becky Goddard-Hill and I'm a parenting author and blogger. I'm also a qualified psychotherapist and life coach, and I write the parenting advice columns over on the Let's Revise website. My interests are really in supporting children throughout their education and particularly in regard to their emotional health and well-being. I hope you've enjoyed the summer holidays so far. I know some children in Scotland went back today, and for me, we are on, only on week 3 actually. Well, week 3 in 2 days. Not that I'm counting. That sounds really bad. But no, we are only halfway through. However, wherever you're at, I would say getting your mind on back to school isn't a bad thing. It does not mean you're wishing the holidays away. What it means is you want it all to go as smoothly as possible for yourself and your children, and for the back to school preparations not to end up being a big almighty overwhelming rush at the end that spoils the last bit of the holidays. So my advice would be to start with a checklist. So if you want to go and grab a notebook and a pen, I've got lots of tips and ideas for you, and I think we should start with a list. Okay, so I'm assuming you've got your pen and your notebook, and here's what I would suggest you put on the list. But of course, every child is at a different stage and age and are at different education establishments, so you may have extra things to add. But I would absolutely, definitely, hi Sarah, I'm glad you love a good list, me too. I would definitely put at the top of your list haircuts, and I would get them booked in now, and I'll tell you why. Hairdressers at the end of the holidays are jam-packed, overwhelmed with everyone trying to get the kids' hair cut, and you don't need that on the last week of your holidays. You want it to be fun, so give them a call, get your kid booked in, plenty of time, and all's good. Next on the list, I'd perhaps put dentist. You might not want to take your child out of school to go to the dentist, so you might want to try and get appointments in the holidays. So let's get that done. Then you want, okay, you ready? Uniform, sports clothes, school bags, water bottles, packed lunch bag, swimming costume, stationery, whatever that may consist of for your child. It might just be like a pen or a pencil, but some kids might need a compass and all sorts of maths equipment too. So all the stationery and equipment they need, like that. Calculator, some children are going to need that, and some might want to take their felt tips. They might need to have a organizer or a notebook with them, or the schools might provide them. You'll know this, so you'll be able to write down what you need. What else? Okay, I also think on the list, not just things you need to buy, and I'm sure there's probably something I forgot there, but it'll come to name labels. Get name labels on your list. But you also want to write on your list things you need to do in regard to back to school. So I would write down practice uniform. I'll come back to these things. Practice your bag packing, practice the school route, and practice phones. Okay. What else did I think of? Okay, you also want to prepare a storage space for schoolwork and books, and you want to get them a calendar of some kind, whether that's in a book format or one they could put on the wall, because we're going to be wanting them to use that to help organise themselves a little bit. Okay, so we've got our list, and now we need to just unpick it a little bit. If you leave uniform till the last week thinking, oh, they might grow over the summer, you could end up with a massive problem. When my son started secondary school, for some reason, the school uniform shops, the 2 of them near us, ran out of ties and didn't get any in stock till 2 days before the school started. There was so much panic going on. Luckily, I bought mine at the start of the summer and had no anxieties, but it was a real worry. Sometimes there's a real rush on things. The supermarkets can end up empty and you can't get hold of what you need, and you don't need that kind of worry. So get that ordered and done, and you can just forget about it. They are not going to grow that much in the space of 2 or 3 weeks. They're not. And I would say the same with shoe shopping. The shoe shops get packed. If you want the feet measured, you can be waiting for ages. Just get those things definitely done and out the way. Name labels, well, I suppose it depends what you do. If you want them embroidering, you want to get that ordered and done. If, like me, you get a permanent marker and write on the inside label, it's not foolproof, but it's what I do, then that can be done whenever, but do it, because it is not worth having missing clothes. It's just not. It's so expensive, and they do all look the same. In regard to practicing things, I would absolutely get on that. If your child is going to a new school, which requires them to wear a shirt for the first time rather than a polo shirt, and they struggle with buttons, they're going to have such a hard time when it comes to PE and things like that. So practicing their buttons from about the middle of the holidays, every day, every couple of days, just having a little go will be really good. Yeah, I do. Rebecca, hi, thanks for your comment. I do think labelling textbooks is also a good idea. Label everything, and bags too. Definitely label bags, because a whole bag can go missing. Just put their names on it. My son's at secondary school now, and he likes it to be quite discreet about that, but it's still worth definitely doing. When it comes to practicing, I was talking about buttons, but I was talking about ties. Can be a nightmare. I taught my son to do his tie up, but a way to loosen it so he could just take it off for PE, then put it back on and just move it back up. But that isn't learnt in a day or two, and you really need to crack on with that. My daughter, for the first time this year, is going to have shoes with laces. So we've been practicing that and double knotting it and unknotting it quite a few times. It can't be left till the end. They will get so stressed, and so will you. And you just don't need it at all. At all. So practice. Practicing the route to school is also really important. You need to be sure your child needs to know where they're going, that they're crossing roads adequately, that they've got somebody to walk with. If you're taking them, you also need to know where to park, how long it's going to take you if it's a new school, and all that kind of stuff. You don't want to be finding out on the day, so scout these things out. Pop them in your diary. You can just do them, I don't know, morning, a couple of weeks before, then perhaps once again, but just get it done. If your child's having a phone for the first time, they need to know how to turn that phone off, otherwise it's going to be massive trouble at school. So they need to know how to turn it off, they need to know how to silence it, they need you as their in case of emergency number, they need to have enough credit on it, and you need to put parental blocks on things you don't want them using. So they need to be au fait with their phones, and again, that comes down to practice, and I don't mean them just playing loads of games, but doing the kind of thing you want them to do. And if they're going to be using a key to let themselves in at home, you go through that too. Now, they might be far younger, and they might be starting school for the first time and have no clue what to expect. So another thing to put on your list, yeah, is support. Have a bit of time. I don't know how you quite want to phrase it really, but talk it through. Make sure there's a few times where you sit with your child and you talk through what's going to happen when they're at school, what's expected of them, what's going to be different, what the teacher's going to be called. So they've got a sense of what's coming. Now, we don't want it to block out the holidays and overwhelm them, so just drip feed these bits of information and run through a typical day. It will help reassure them. Yeah, so practical terms, that's my advice. Having a workstation in a place to store books is really important, because otherwise they just get left around and they're not respected or looked after properly. Setting that up is a good idea. And getting your child a few books for school is a lovely way to help them prepare. I always like my children to have dictionaries, and there is a lovely set from Collins that I wanted to show you. It's a dictionary and a thesaurus, and what is particularly lovely about this one is that all the words and phrases in it have been developed with teachers. So sometimes when you pick up these more complex dictionaries, you need a dictionary to understand the definition, don't you? But not with these. They're really straightforward, lovely, simple dictionaries. And it's great to stop kids just whizzing onto the computer, but to actually use a book to find things out. And yeah, lovely. Nice thing for them to have on their shelf. Colin sent me a few of their books to have a look at, actually. And these are the ones I'd really recommend. This is their map of the United Kingdom and Ireland. And my son showed it to my daughter the other day, and I was absolutely shocked at how little, I'm so sorry if she's watching this, how little she really kind of knew about where places were. But she does now, and that's the main thing, isn't it? And it was great. He said to her, oh, when we went on holiday to here, this is where it was, and where do you think Wales is? And she could find that. She got a real sense of the country, and it's a lovely thing to have. We've always had a world map up on our kitchen wall, but I like this children's map of the United Kingdom and Ireland. It's really useful, and it gets them thinking geographically and about their place. So that's a nice thing to have. What else did they send me? Oh, this. Now, spelling is something that I struggle with. Not that I can't spell myself, but I struggle to know how to teach it or to how to support my kids with it, because everything in school is taught very differently. I'm 45, so I last learnt spelling rules well over 35 years ago. This is such a cracking book, Spell Like a Champion, your practical guide to spelling success, and it's got loads of tips and techniques, puzzles and worksheets to make spelling fun. And it's really quite a fundamental part of your child's education, isn't it? But if you don't know how to support them, it can be very frustrating. So for me, books like this are really useful too. So I'd have something like that on their bookshelves. And last but not least, my kids are going into, well, my daughter's going into year 6 and has got SATs, which she's quite anxious about. Her school take them seriously, and they put quite a lot of effort and work into them. Now, I know it's a controversial subject, and some parents are vehemently against SATs, some are all for them, but regardless to what we think, the schools do focus on them, and they do them. So our children are going to be working towards doing their SATs, and all children want to feel they're doing well and they can keep up. So these lovely books from Let's are great for helping us know what our children are being taught at school. And this is a SAT Success workbook, and it runs through the different elements of maths that they're going to be learning in school in year 6. And they can have a little practice. The answers are at the back with explanations, which is good. And it means I know what she's doing. I can give her a little extra support at home. We've got maths and English and SPAG, spelling, grammar and punctuation. Always makes me think of spaghetti bolognese, but that's because I like my food. So anyway, some cracking books available, and there is an amazing bonus on at the moment with Collins. If you go onto their site and you order from their back to school range of books, it's a huge range, fascinating fact books, all sorts of things, brilliant books. There is 40% off if you use this code. If you've got your pen, the code is BTS, back to school, BTS 17. And that will get you 40% off Collins range, which is quite astonishing. It's a huge amount, isn't it? I mean, brilliant. Also, if you sign up to Collins newsletter, you get access to thousands of activities and puzzles, literally thousands of activities and puzzles for your kids that are free. I love a free resource. And it's a good idea in the few weeks running up to school to get them using their brain again, get them thinking logically. And so, yeah, download a few of them. Absolutely brilliant. So do sign up for their newsletter too. Okay, we've talked about the practical things we need to do, the practice things we need to do, the things we need to buy in regard to going back to school. But of course, emotionally, it's also really important. Kids get worried about going back to school. They do. And I think the most important thing we can do as parents is have a upbeat attitude towards going back to school. Not, oh no, the holidays are over. Oh God, that school run's going to start. What a nightmare. That's no good. It'll make them feel school's a drag and it's rubbish and they'll be fed up. We need to be looking at the positives. Maybe they've got a great new teacher. Maybe there's a new school. They're starting, maybe they're going to be doing a new after school club or taking some new subjects. My son's going to be picking his GCSEs this year, so I've been saying to him how fabulous you're going to be able to do subjects that you really love and you can get rid of the ones you don't like so much. It's going to be a great year, and positivity is contagious, and children do take their cues from you. So if you are very optimistic about school and encouraging and supportive and positive and can do in your attitude towards the challenges that are ahead, they will take that on board too. If they do have anxieties though, it's important not to just kind of say, oh, don't worry about that, it's nothing. You need to hear them, because some anxieties can be very rooted in reality, and they can also be quite overwhelming. Maybe your child's got a male teacher for the first time and is a bit intimidated by that, or maybe they've got a teacher they've had before they didn't really get on with, and you might want to do some role play around that, or talk over strategies with them about how they can cope. They might feel a bit worried about seeing their friends again after a long summer break, and if you give them room to tell you this is a problem, perhaps you could arrange a few play dates, or like a big picnic with all the kids from school together, or as many as you can rustle up the week before school starts to ease them back in. I think that would be really helpful. But giving them time to talk, opening the conversation, asking them if there's anything on their mind about school, when you've got time to really listen, could be very useful. I find when kids are anxious, something that really helps is to remind them about when they coped in the past. So if they're really worried about going into year 3, you can say, do you know, last year when you're going into year 2, I remember you saying you're really worried about that, but look at what happened, and tell them what they achieved. Remind them about their capabilities and their strengths and their coping strategies, and they will feel stronger. So I think all of that can really help. The more confident, the more organised and calm you are, without last minute rush and stress and panic, because you've prepared and got yourselves ready, the more they will feel okay about going back to school. One of my main struggles, I think, in going back to school is that we have a very relaxed summer. I work from home, so I pretty much let the kids get up as they will, and they go to bed quite late. And going back to school, when you've not been going to bed till quite late and getting up quite late, can be a real shock to the system. So about a week before school starts, I reinstate waking up and sleep routine, so that isn't a nasty shock on the day. I also have them pack their school bag themselves, so they know exactly where everything is in it, and they don't panic that they can't find their bus fare or their lunch bag or what have you. I have them very involved in the process of going back to school. It's not something I do behind the scenes. I want them to understand what's involved in that. So yeah, they are my back to school tips. I really hope that some of that has been useful to you, and I am absolutely sure that you will have some tips that I've not thought of, and I would love to hear them. We all benefit from sharing our wisdom. So please, in the comments below, I would love you to share your back to school tips, what works for you and what works for your child. Yeah, it's been great talking to you about this, and actually I've now reminded myself of loads that I need to do to get organised. But I think the key thing is make a start, don't leave it till the last minute, get appointments booked in, practice those things they might struggle with. So it's not a last minute, I can't do my time, I don't know how to use my phone, that kind of stuff. But most importantly, be positive and confident and reassuring, and give them space to talk over any worries with you. All right, have a wonderful rest of the summer holidays, and have a great back to school, everybody, and I will see you soon. Bye.